Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Transition Partners. Everyone Hates Recruiters vlog. This is officially our 7th episode where we'll talk about trials and tribulations of internal recruitment, agency recruitment, experiences, learnings, trends, and hopefully everyone will get some. We've got the lovely Sean Allen today from BJSS. So I'm positive and confident you'll all learn a lot from this half an hour session. Sean is Talent Acquisition Manager at BJSS. BJSS are a leading consultancy within the technology and engineering space, multiple offices across the UK, but I'm sure Sean will tell you more about them as a business shortly. Sean's very passionate about invested in D&I. He's also admin of an internal recruitment group called DBR. And he is co-organizer of Yorkshire Full Stack Meetup. Anything else, Sean? Because there's quite a long list of things that you're involved in there.
Yes, I think that's it. I do a squad lead role as well at work, so why not have 3 things to do? But yeah, no, quite a bit. Thanks. Makes you sound better than I am, Sandra. I like it.
Fantastic. So it's great to have you on. We've had you in the offices a couple of times, spending some time with our team, and feedback's always been really positive. We all think we're a big fan of Sean Allen at Team TP, and so I was really looking forward to having you on the vlog and sharing all those great ideas and experiences with everyone else out there in the world and our community. So do you want to just start with sharing a little bit about your journey and your background? Because obviously you've worked for some amazing companies and had some pretty big roles, so it'd be good to just give everyone a little bit of context and a bit of background.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's a really nice intro, and probably kinder than I would intro myself. Yes, I started out agency side 12 years ago, I think. So I did 3.5 years at an agency, focusing on contract recruitment within the sort of tech and business change space, which I really liked because contract recruitment was just so fast paced. It's roll Monday, start following Monday kind of thing, and I like that because it meant you get money quicker. I never understood why people hired perm people because it took forever to get paid. And then I sort of, I guess, got a little bit fed up of because it was a really small agency, a bit fed up of the 24/7 thing and being on holiday and working and stuff like that. So I looked at making the move internal. So I moved to Yorkshire Building Society. So they gave me my first internal job. I spent about 3.5 years there actually, before moving to Sky when they moved up into Leeds, helping with the transition of the digital estate from Osterley to Leeds, and then I got a bit patchy. I spent a couple of months at Call Credit, now known as TransUnion, and then went over to BBC in Media City in Salford, and spent a year there, and then came to BJSS where I've hit just over 2 years now, which is kind of leveling me back out a little bit. But yeah, so apart from those little short ones in the middle, not too bad.
Yeah, brilliant. And what obviously you started in agency and you did that for about 3.5 years. What was it that kind of tipped you over that kind of line, I guess, to move into internal? And obviously since then you've not looked back and you've had a successful career in internal.
Yeah, I think it's the one thing I'm really grateful for from the agency side is the training and learning I got. Like it's a really small agency, but the company I worked for were just absolutely brilliant in terms of that whole candidate experience, client experience, and giving you the support to have that confidence to have those calls, especially if you're speaking to that 500, 600 pound a day candidate, and there's me on, peanuts starting out my career. So they were great. I think for me, I got to the end of it really because I was the only one who mainly looked after the contract stuff. So I just remember being on holiday and checking in a hotel and then getting a call that some requirements had come in, and it's like, I gave you like all my people when they're available, what skills I've got, just deal with it. And if you don't, you can't find someone out of that, just find them because I'm on holiday. And so that was kind of the tipping point for me. And then I sort of researched internal. I guess it maybe wasn't as big 8 years ago as it is now.
No, it wasn't.
And sort of looked at what that is, and I thought I'd get more balance with 9 till 5, but then it's me, so I don't really work 9 till 5 now anyway. But I think it's just that maturity as well you get, don't you? I was in like early 20s when I started out in agency, so you're always exploring what's best for you, aren't you? And trying to find your feet
yeah.
and where you fit, I guess. But yeah, I'd you know, I'd never regret my agency days though. I think they were fantastic from for 3.5 years anyway.
I think both internal and agency develops individuals in different ways. And having I just did another vlog recording this morning with Sophie Elms from Arbor Education, and we were talking a lot about the difference in that you can really get to know or stakeholder, like one particular stakeholder, as in that business, the company, and the individuals within it, and be really kind of, you know, when you're speaking to your candidates, match the right opportunity for them, but also, you know, spend that time with them, really kind of giving back more than, you know, I guess when you're an agency consultant, you've got maybe 6-7 different clients, different roles, and it's quite hard to do that. And I know that that's something that I've kind of not enjoyed in the past about agency recruitment. So
I think what you get with that though is that exposure to all the different clients and the way they do things. So there's always advantages and disadvantages to both from what you see, right, and what you find out. But yeah, it's an interesting one. But I like to think that if you're internal and you've done agency recruitment, you've got a better understanding of the pains that agencies go through. So it's a bit easier to build that relationship and work with people, because you kind of get it from your own time of, you know, when you were sat on the other side of the fence as well. So I think it helps.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think that what's the word? Because I think I find that there's not that competition as much anymore, like between internal and external kind of recruitment. I do feel like there's a lot more knowledge sharing and working together and bringing us all together, rather than being that kind of fence or barrier, which is something that one of the reasons why we've got this vlog, because we want to try and break that mold as much as possible and all work together. You know, it's a
partnership, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. So obviously we've all been hit by unforeseen challenges this year. We were just discussing earlier how obviously we've both been feeling this year with COVID. How have you had to adapt your business and team and kind of your recruitment strategy this year, given the current pandemic?
It's interesting. It's a good question, actually. So it's just a bit weird as recruiters not working with your colleagues on site. Like, you know, the odd days you do and stuff and remote and it's normal. So we just hired someone in the team recently, so it's kind of been an experience onboarding her fully remotely. And when you start, you often know, I do anyway, have lots of silly little questions about systems or process where you just lean over and ask someone. But then now we're all just booking time out for meetings and calls, and it's a bit weirder. But to be honest, we've been doing quite well this year. So I think, like everybody, when COVID first hit, everyone sort of reflects and looks at how that could affect them. But we're going like mad at the moment. So we opened Sheffield, Birmingham and Cardiff officially this year. We opened a new office in Lisbon in August. We just announced Melbourne on Monday, I think, a couple of days ago.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, Stuart announced, 80 new jobs in the early career space for cross trainers, career returners, grads and apprentices for over the next year. So in a way, we're kind of probably busier than we were a year ago. It's absolutely crazy, but that's good. Something to be grateful of in the current market. Definitely.
Yeah, no, definitely. Brilliant. And do you see trends, like any kind of changes, or how do you see kind of talent as a whole kind of evolving, and any changes going into, I guess we're approaching the end of 2020 now. How do you see things panning out next year in 2021?
From a purely talent perspective, or from a company and talent perspective?
Well, I guess, let's cover off both.
Okay. So I guess the interesting thing is the whole remote thing. So a lot of people are like we're working remote because we have to work remote, and we want to safeguard our people. And unless there's circumstances where someone can't physically work from home, or would want to be in the office for personal or mental health reasons, stuff like that, we've got the guidelines in place for people to go in. But I think for us, we'll get back to being on site and clients, but then it depends how flexible clients will be to how flexible we become. So we do want more flexibility down the line. But as a consultancy, you're driven by clients a lot. But it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because there's been companies for years doing the fully remote thing, but it's only really come to the forefront in the news or whatever because of COVID. You're seeing more companies in London and places being able to hire people fully remote from the north, where they can pay them a better salary than which isn't quite a London salary, but still probably higher than most market averages over here. So I've been seeing more of that. So I think it's going to depend on how companies want to work. If they want to be on site, they want blends, they want to be fully remote, they want to offer whatever the candidate wants. And that, I think it'll be interesting to see how that drives the candidate market. I think from a talent perspective, we're always in the same boat, right? Getting shipped constant rec tech, and most of it's usually nonsense. So it's always just seeing what people are coming out with, but there's always a whole thing about automation and all this sort of stuff. But I've not seen anything where you go, that's some serious value add, and there's not going to be any pitfalls to that. I think it's still going to center on that candidate experience and that journey that they go through, and how we market to the candidates. I think that's where we'll focus on anyway, is continuing to improve that side of things.
Yeah, from a company point of view, I spoke to a client yesterday actually, who they're a consultancy, local consultancy as well, and they were saying that they've experienced recently, because of the whole COVID situation and remote hiring, remote onboarding, remote working, that a number of their clients are outsourcing more. And the split is increasing. Which was and obviously that's affecting their business, but I see that as something that potentially other businesses may trial, because obviously they've seen remote working work and be productive. But I think when things start settling down next year, that you'll kind of see that as a bit of a cycle, because I don't think that's, particularly for consultancies, I don't think that's sustainable longer term. Because I think there's still always going to be that whole element of the interaction and the face-to-face contact and relationship building piece, which I think whichever way you look at it, ultimately remotely is very difficult to do.
Yeah, it depends what they want, I guess, doesn't it? But there's always competition in the consultancy space, which makes it interesting.
Yeah.
But, again, we're quite fortunate at the moment with where we are and the growth we're going through, to sort of continue that. And it's down to the good work that people do on the projects for the clients, right? It's just that successful delivery. But yeah, as long as I've got roles to fill, I'm happy. It keeps me in work. So
on that note, what's your I know obviously there'll be a limit as to what you want to share, but what's your you've got a lot of roles to fill. I know that obviously you have some agency support, but you have got a strong recruitment team. What's your strategy? Like, what are your tools and tactics and methods to hire successfully directly?
I shouldn't say this on a vlog, should I? But I don't really spend a lot of time sourcing anymore. I think I usually just leverage people I already know or have placed before. I've got a great team that do that proactively and much better than I do. I'm a bit out of touch these days. To be honest, there's many strands to it, isn't there? There's the whole marketing piece and what you do, how you face out externally, and how you draw people to your brand, whether that's through events and conferences or just your marketing on your website and social media feeds, and then your own personal brand and how you build that network and grow that. You've always got LinkedIn. It's just everyone uses LinkedIn, but everyone gets 1,000 messages a day from recruiters, so you just get buried in the pile. But then you've got all your X-ray search tools and different things you can use, so you can sort of start accessing into GitHub profiles and get details there, and Stack Overflow and various different routes, especially for your software engineers anyway. Just those various routes. And I think there's nothing better than just good old referrals as well, right? Like if you can keep building and use referrals, if you hire everyone and they bring one person with them and you keep doing that, then you keep getting good people through that way. But there's some stuff we're working on at the moment, which I'll share with you when we get to it, from the external facing piece of things. But I mean, from the actual sourcing, unless I know someone, I'm not I'm not that pro these days. I shouldn't put that into a video, should I?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it's a lot of it is about that whole attraction piece, isn't it? And what you do from a marketing, branding and social media piece, because it's, you want to portray, you want to attract those people to be excited and interested in working with your stakeholders and the business. And I think that's something that BJSS do very, very well. Fantastic. And you're a D&I champion at BJSS.
Yep.
I saw. So obviously diversity and inclusion this year has become, I mean, it's always been there and it's always been a topic of interest. But I think this year it's become even more amplified and become more important than ever. What methods do you have in place within BJSS to achieve D&I, and like how do you achieve it?
So we've got D&I champions in each of our locations. We just added 3 more to Leeds a couple of weeks ago, which is absolutely awesome. So I'm not flying.
How does someone become a D&I champion? What do they have to do?
So the someone from the sort of people side of the leadership team will sort of advertises it, and then you sort of apply internally.
Right. Okay.
And it's ultimately on top of your normal day job, I sort of say. But there's multiple sort of facets to it. So there's one working with our people strategy manager and our local leadership teams and heads of delivery, from local initiatives and aspects to BJSS wide initiatives and aspects of what we can do. So there's lots of small things we do, like raising awareness to certain things. So International Tolerance Day was recent, so we did like a little sort of post just around that, and links to various TED Talks or material. Same with International Men's Day and raising awareness around a lot of things there. Like last couple of years, obviously a tough one. We've sponsored Pride, but we've taken feedback from the community within BJSS around, do we want to do the whole big blowout thing, or do we just want to sponsor to support it because we believe in it and we're passionate about it, and then just actually attend and enjoy it and get people together from the business, rather than go with BJSS branded banners and t-shirts and everything. It's more of we believe in this, we support it, so we sponsored it, but we don't want to just be using it as a marketing tool for BJSS. And that was from the LGBTQ plus community within BJSS to want to do it that way. And then we do things internally. And then there's also different projects and initiatives. So we're just currently looking at the strategy of what we want to achieve next year. So we're just pulling that together at the moment to sort of announce what our plans are for next year. But it's a whole host of things, of actual internal projects of improving things to raising awareness, and trying to get more people involved or educated around certain subjects. And it's that whole being comfortable, getting comfortable being uncomfortable kind of thing. It's we're often afraid of saying the wrong thing when unintentionally offending someone by just using wrong terminology, whereas actually we just want to use it all as learning experiences, so we improve. So it's kind of like, if we look back at the Black Lives Matter, there was loads of companies showing support on LinkedIn and everything. We had an internal conversation around the subject of, do we put something on social media or not, and we decided not to, because if we're putting on social media, we weren't putting around what we were doing to support and address sort of BAME and the Black community in the tech industry. So what we did instead was actually engage with people within BJSS from that community, and actually understand more of the challenges they've faced, what we can do as a business to actually improve and take action to actually improve.
Yeah, that's
what,
it. You're
what we
actually
can do.
doing something rather than like you said, taking that action rather than
just trying to tick a box publicly and say we support this, but we're not doing anything. We were like, actually, we do support it, so we're actually going to go and do something about it. So so there's loads of stuff going on. It's crazy.
No, it sounds like it. You've got some good stuff going on there. Fantastic. What would you say the best bit of advice you've ever been given in your recruitment career that would be useful for others to know about?
Best bit of advice. Jokingly aside, one of my moves, I won't say between which ones, had a nice salary increase to it. So one of my bosses, when I told them, was just like, "I'll punch you in the face if you don't take it." That's a great opportunity. So that was good advice. Do you know what? I think one of the sort of best mentors I had was Sid Mansour he was one of the owners at, along with Michelle Dimmock at Solar Selection, the agency I worked at that don't exist anymore as an agency, but they were just great in general. They kind of taught you to sort of be yourself and to sort of really portray that and sort of listen to your clients and candidates and take that take what they're saying on board. I think they definitely shaped my sort of interest and passion in recruitment and gave me that opportunity from not knowing anything and doing a lot of research around what recruitment actually was. So rather than a single piece of advice, I think just their sort of nurturing and mentoring throughout was fantastic. And actually one bit they did say is just everyone's a human, right? So you have that fear when you're earning peanuts when you start out in a recruitment career of talking to people who earn like, you know, crazy money in your eyes, but like they're just human beings, you know, that just have a career and that's what it pays. So don't let someone, just because, you know, they're on, you know, 20 grand or 150 grand or whatever, sort of change or belittle you or change anything around that. It's the human beings, right? So that was good, because that kind of gave you the comfort and confidence going into those calls where you would worry about, well, I'm used to talking to someone who wants £300 a day, but this person's on 1,400, so it's kind of terrifying. But then actually you talk to them just like you would the £300 a day person or you know, whatever. And it's that was good advice, because I always had fear of those big money calls when I first started, because it's terrifying.
I was exactly the same, and the number of times, because I'm not a salesperson, and the number of times I've said to other people, just be yourself. Just people buy from people, and just be yourself, just who you are, be who you are, and build relationships. And I think that's particularly over the last few years, it's more about being authentic, and you know, and if you're vulnerable, but it'll help you build those relationships and create that confidence. So you've got a team. What size is your team? Now?
4 now.
4.
Okay. Yeah, I had to think about that, didn't I?
You did. You just added one to it recently, you said, didn't you?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about it. Yeah. Nearly on autopilot.
So from a recruitment perspective and a leadership point of view, what would you say the key things are that help you get the most out of your team? Because obviously I assume, right, that you're, you know, obviously you want your team and your function within the business to fill as many of your roles as possible directly. How do you manage that with your team, and how do you kind of, I guess, encourage them to hit those numbers?
Yeah, so one thing I learned that I hate from my career is micromanagement. So I try to avoid doing that, because I don't like that at all. I give them the autonomy to just go and do what they do best, and naturally I'm there for any questions or anything I can help them with. I remember coming into this role and meeting with the team that was at the time, and just saying, look, you know, I'm kind of new to this as well, so stuff you don't like from me or what I do or what I can improve, just tell me, right? You know, it's a two-way a two-way street. But for me, it's just giving them the tools and autonomy to just go and do what they do, and then just I'm always there to support, help out, and you know, I still roll my sleeves up and get my hands dirty in the day-to-day stuff as well. So I'd never ask someone to do something that I wouldn't do. So yeah, that's the way I kind of leave it, and it's it seems to work. And I think just understanding their drivers. So that's one thing I actually learned from Sid when I was worked in an agency, was said you'll never manage two people the same. He said you could have 5 people that are all motivated by money, but they're all motivated by money for 5 different reasons. And he said you'll never lead or manage the same sort of person. It'll be different every single time, and just understanding their drivers and where they want to go with their career, so I can help them get there as well. So you know, if someone left my team and went somewhere else because we couldn't, or I couldn't offer them that next step, what they wanted, then I consider that job well done from my part. That, you know, I've helped get them to that position where they're taking that step. Which not everyone agrees with, but that's how I've always looked at things myself. So, you know, I kind of look at it the same way.
I agree. That's a really good way of thinking about it. And it's easier said than done sometimes, giving them that autonomy and trust, isn't it? And I don't think there's a huge amount of people that get that right. I think it's something that needs to be constantly worked on by both parties. But I 100% agree. I mean, micromanagement, it's just totally died out, hasn't it? And it's doesn't get you anywhere. Fantastic. So last question. What's next for you? Like, what does the next 12 months look like for you and your role and your team?
I don't know, you know, definitely a lot of hiring and a lot of growth. So a lot of work. We restructured the sort of team a bit. So we actually work, because as you know, we've got so many locations, we've got different teams in different locations, but we're much more joined up. So we all get together for a stand up in the morning, and we're sharing best practice and what works, what hasn't worked, and working a lot closer than we used to. So we still have that autonomy in our areas, but we're joining up a lot more. So there's been some growth, as well as Carmen joining my team a few weeks ago. We've had new starters in Manchester and Birmingham and Bristol as well, and I think we're looking for someone else down the southwest at the moment. So who knows, because we keep opening offices apparently. So it's hard to say what the next 12 months would look like. I just know that there's a lot of hiring to do, and I kind of just focus on that to keep my head above water and keeping the good books of
that can only mean growth and good things directly for you and your team, can't it? So
hopefully, I don't really think about myself. Things happen when they happen, right? So just
it's all heading in the right direction, isn't it? So fantastic. So we usually ask at the end of these vlogs if there's anyone that you'd like to nominate that you think would be able to provide some good insights and learnings that others will benefit from. Is there anyone that you'd like to
I bet you've had everyone I would nominate, haven't you?
I haven't had that many people on, actually.
Have you not? Right,
I keep trying to get George on, George from Taxi.
Right, so George Mill's on that list, just because I want to call him out on it. You've had Yasmin on, haven't you? Or has she just been on? I thought you would have been. Have you had Clive Smart on?
No.
Clive Smart's a good shout. Esther Clive. I'll text him and let him know. I've just nominated him anyway.
Text him and let him know, and I'll tag George and Clive in when this goes live.
Get him.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much for all your insights as usual. Brilliant, great talking to you. Always enjoy talking to Sean Allen from BJSS, and I'm sure everyone else will be really interested in listening and watching this vlog. If anyone's interested in following up on anything that you said, any advice or opportunities, even you said that you obviously you're growing, hiring both in tech and potentially in the recruitment team, maybe further along the line next year, you're happy for them to reach out to you via LinkedIn? Is that
LinkedIn, Twitter, either way. Go for it.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for coming on. It's been great to have you on.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. It's nice to catch up.
Yeah, you too. Take care. Cheers.
Cheers. See you later.
Bye.